Okay, so we're talking historic preservation today, and anyone who's into that knows it's a delicate balance keeping a building looking good without, well, ruining its history.
Right, it's not like you can just break out the power washer on a building that's been around for centuries.
Definitely not. We're actually diving into a fascinating article today all about cleaning historic masonry from CARSI, the Cleaning and Restoration Science Institute.
And trust me, there's way more to it than you might think.
That's what I love about these deep dives. There's always something new to learn.
You'd be surprised how often plain water is the most damaging cleaner for these old buildings.
Really?
Yeah, these structures aren't just stone and mortar, they're time capsules. Each layer, from the grime to the, let's say, organic additions, tells a story. You can't just wash that away.
Okay, see, that's what I love about this. It's like detective work. What kind of stories are we talking about here? Give me an example.
Well, take pollution, for example. The CARSI article mentions a case study on a building in London, covered in soot after centuries.
Makes sense for London, yeah.
Using a harsh chemical cleaner would strip away the soot, sure, but it also would damage the stone underneath, erasing a tangible link to the city's industrial past.
Wow, so it's like each building has its own fingerprint, and you wouldn't want to smudge that. So where do you even begin with choosing the right cleaning approach?
It starts with knowing what you're dealing with. What kind of grime is it? Pollution, biological growth, leftover stuff from cleaning attempts gone wrong.
Oh, right, because even cleaning can damage these old buildings if not done right.
And then, what's the actual material we're talking about? Because limestone reacts very differently to cleaning than, say, granite.
Because of the pH levels. I remember from high school chemistry, that's all about acidity and alkalinity, right? Does that factor in here too?
Absolutely, and the CARSI article really digs into this. Think of pH like a scale, with lemon juice on the acidic side and baking soda on the alkaline side. Water's right in the middle, neutral, and that's usually ideal for historic masonry.
So using a highly acidic or alkaline cleaner on these delicate surfaces would be like, what, throwing a brick through a stained glass window?
Yeah, way too harsh.
Okay, so no acidic baths for, say, a marble masterpiece?
What?
What about alkaline cleaners then? Are they any better?
They can be gentler in some ways, but they come with their own risks. Imagine using bleach on colored fabrics. You might get rid of the stain, but you might end up with a lighter spot. Alkaline cleaners can have a similar effect on porous stone, causing discoloration.
Tricky. So if acidic and alkaline cleaners are both risky, what's the Goldilocks cleaner that's just right?
Often it's neutral pH cleaners, as mentioned in the CARSI article. They're effective at breaking down grime without the harsh side effects of their acidic or alkaline counterparts.
Fascinating. So it's not as simple as just grabbing any old cleaner. You really have to analyze the situation.
Yeah.
You mentioned limestone and granite. Are there other material quirks that come into play?
Definitely. Take a material like brick, for instance. It's generally more porous than stone, meaning it absorbs more water.
So that makes it more susceptible to damage.
Exactly. It makes it particularly susceptible to damage from freeze-thaw cycles if cleaned improperly, especially in colder climates.
It's kind of like you're fighting against the elements with these old buildings.
Yeah, they really take a beating over the years.
And you mentioned earlier that even past cleaning attempts can make things trickier. Like, what if someone used the wrong cleaner on a building decades ago?
That's a great point, and it happens more than you'd think. That's why it's so important to know the building's history, including any restoration efforts.
So if someone used, say, a really acidic cleaner on a limestone facade years ago,
Exactly. The damage might not be visible now, but it could be causing problems under the surface, weakening the stone.
like a ticking time bomb, you wouldn't know until it was too late.
And that's why it's about long-term preservation, not just a quick fix. The CARSI article really stresses a thorough analysis before any cleaning starts. They even recommend looking at old photographs.
Wow, really? Old photographs?
Yeah, and archival records to understand the building's cleaning history.
That's wild. It really is like detective work.
It is.
You mentioned location earlier, too, and how a building in London would have different needs than one in, say, the countryside. How so?
Well, think about it. Buildings are like sponges, absorbing everything around them.
Right. Makes sense.
A building in a city center is exposed to different stuff than a farmhouse out in the country.
Like car exhaust, things like that.
Exactly. Car exhaust, industrial emissions, even just foot traffic kicking up dirt.
And those would require totally different cleaning solutions, I imagine.
Absolutely. The CARSI article talks about black crust, a common problem, being caused by different types of pollution.
I've heard of that, yeah.
In cities, it's often from sulfur dioxide emissions reacting with the stone.
Why?
But in coastal areas, it might be salt spray combining with dirt and grime. Each type of crust needs a different cleaning approach.
Wow, it's amazing how every little detail matters. Okay, so let's say you considered all of that, the type of stone, the grime, the history, the location. How do you actually know if a cleaning method will work without damaging the building? Do you just go for it?
That's where the test patch comes in, and it's a crucial step the CARSI article emphasizes. Before cleaning the entire facade, conservators will choose a small hidden area to test the cleaning method.
So like a test drive before you buy the car.
Exactly. It's all about minimizing risk. This test patch lets them see how the material reacts, how long it takes to work, and if it causes any discoloration or damage. If everything looks good, they can proceed. If not, they can adjust before they've cleaned the whole building.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like having a safety net for these irreplaceable buildings. It sounds like there's some trial and error involved, even with all the science. What happens if a test doesn't go as planned? Back to the drawing board.
Not necessarily. Sometimes it's just adjusting the concentration of the cleaning solution or the pressure if you're using abrasive cleaning. Other times, they might find that a method works great on one part of a building, but not another.
Interesting.
Maybe because of differences in the stone's porosity or how much it's been exposed to the elements.
It's incredible how each building has its own quirks, and how even the smallest thing can affect the cleaning.
It definitely keeps things interesting.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
It makes you appreciate the expertise of these conservators even more. Yeah, it's almost like every project is unique.
That's a good way to put it. Each building has its own story, its own set of challenges. That's part of what makes this field so fascinating.
It really highlights that this isn't just a job, it's a craft.
You could say that again. It requires a deep understanding of both science and history, and a delicate touch. A whole lot of patience, too. You really have to be patient.
Speaking of patience, we're coming up on the end of our deep dive here. Before we wrap up, any final takeaways from the CARSI article? We didn't talk much about abrasive cleaning techniques.
Oh, you're right. We didn't go into much detail there. It might seem like a harsher approach.
Because you're literally, like, scrubbing the grime away.
Right. But there are times when it's the best option. The key, as the CARSI article says, is choosing the right abrasive material and technique for the type of stone. It's a bit like using different grades of sandpaper. You wouldn't use coarse sandpaper on a delicate piece of furniture, right?
No way, I can already imagine myself sanding a hole right through it.
Exactly. Same goes for historic masonry. A fine grit abrasive might be okay for removing dirt from, say, a granite facade.
But not for limestone, you said that was more delicate.
Exactly. That same approach on limestone could do irreparable damage.
So, like we've been saying, it's all about choosing the right tool for the job.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to have trained conservators who know what they're doing. They have the knowledge to assess the situation, weigh the risks, and ultimately choose the approach that will best preserve the building.
It's like they're not just cleaning a building, they're caring for a piece of history.
That's a great way to put it. And that's what this deep dive is all about, understanding the care, precision, and respect for the past that goes into preserving these amazing buildings.
It's been really eye-opening. I'll never look at a historic building the same way again.
That's what we like to hear.
Instead of just seeing grime, I'll be thinking about everything that contributed to it, the stories it tells, the science involved in preserving it.
That's fantastic. It's all about fostering a deeper appreciation for these structures, for these links to our past.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, we'll leave our listener with one final thought. Next time you're walking by a historic building, take a moment to really see it. Look at the design, the marks left by time, the stories in those walls. And thanks for joining us for this deep dive into historic masonry restoration. Until next time, stay curious. There's always something new to discover.